And I believe they were picking a lot of TB before.
They've played
that was
a
with
fair
Naive.
amount of TB, yeah.
I don't know if this is Naive because one or two people in here have different names. I'm assuming this is still Naive in the stack, which would make a
They've
lot of
played
sense.
Terrorblade in 16% of their games.
On the most recent patch, right?
On the most recent patch, they tend to play Faceless Void in 7.27. They play Faceless Void in almost 50% of their games.
Yeah,
But
so I think win rate though, like they're pretty far up on their TB because I remember towards the end of the last league, they started to turn it around by just spamming TB in their games back to back. It was how they got through like an awkward tiebreaker. Like they started off looking the worst out of the three and then just started spamming TB.
They tend to like to pick the TB against the Tiny as well, I think.
Interesting.
Because
I mean, like
he deals reasonably with the burst because he can just heal back up.
yes, you are vulnerable to start with, right? But you can easily get to like a break-even point where you won't be insta-killed, and that means that then a Tiny with full HP is standing in front of a 10% HP Terrorblade going, oh no, I know how this one ends.
What are they going to go for here? Oh, Darkseer. This is interesting. Not many people are picking Darkseer.
It's kind of interesting, right? Because like when we started out, Darkseer was seriously like the go-to pick. You picked it, and it's like, my draft looks 50% better already.
It's good against the TB though.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like calmed down a bit since they nerfed Surge. I think that was like the big one. Because anything that can break movement speed is inherently OP. Like there's two things that are always going to like feel OP, right? Movement speed is kind of an obvious one. Anything that can break past the sound barrier is what you're essentially doing is amazing. The other thing is displacement. Displacement is ridiculous in Dota, right? That's another reason why Tiny's so good. Like, you almost escaped the gank. I'm gonna just throw you back to where you started, and you can just let go of the keyboard and die. Same reason why like Magnus can be incredible skewer. Let's not talk about Pudge. That's there's many issues around that hero. Displacement
Pudge
is
has
good.
other issues. Displacement is not one of them.
Exactly.
Again,
Like, well, displacement from winning is a big problem.
We've got two big boy carries here.
We have. And in this matchup, historically, I think usually Morph takes it a little bit in previous patches. I just feel like in the current patch, I do like TB a bit more. I think
I like Morph with the Mirana against the Mirana because a leap is so good in Morph.
that is true. You haven't got like a definitive need to go for the Mirana though, because you know what you do have: Metamorphosis. How about we just like? Isn't it great when you draft a morph against a hero that's real ultimate isn't on the ultimate button?
Yeah.
Like, the best way I can compare it is like, imagine if DK's like ultimate wasn't the ultimate button, right? And you're a morph, you're like,
It
oh
is
my
nuts, yeah.
god. So I think in
Banning
that
up
regard,
mids.
I still
So I think this DK is an offlaner.
yeah. So like you do have that flex. It's a pretty good one with Mirana as well because you have stun into stun. I think on the morphling thing, I think it has started to shift back in Morphling's favor again because of that metamorphosis interaction we talked about. But TB is definitely up on previous patches in terms of winning against this hero. And they have an Oracle as well. Like I wouldn't rule out Khan right now because they have a really powerful save right now.
They do. It's good against the Morphling.
Yeah, because like I mean, the classic is, oh, he's shotgunning someone. I'ma just go ahead and give them 100% magic resistance. Pass.
I don't know. Everyone's banning mids.
Yeah.
Neither of them want them to have a mid.
So mudgolems have flexibility. They could send the Morphling mid. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Because if you're Morph, like you're kind of happy with the farming lane, right? It's a DK. What's he gonna do? Breathe fire and look at you angrily? Zeus is a peculiar one.
It's good against Terrorblade because it's burst from a distance.
And DK as well. Like because remember, braces don't give magic resistance anymore. So strength heroes aren't automatically feeling good about this. Also, Zeus is kind of a sleep pick that's getting picked more and more at the moment. It's just simple,
it's
right?
Picked huge amounts.
Yeah, because like you get your passive, you just max out your arc lightning, you push the wave, and you go farm, and you're also able to harass heavily. And then later on, like any hero that can just inherently give True Sight without needing to spend money on it is good. Or has a way of finding like vision, right? Like Slark was another one for that all the time. I'm
they're gonna
curious
pick
with
here.
mudgolems though. So they need. I was gonna say some catch,
Pango.
with that kind of like. It's not direct catch. I see this as like good follow up, right? So tiny initiate, Pango follow up, and this might be a Pango mid because I feel like DK can't.
I think it's a mid.
Yeah, I mean you can still run the tiny mid. Like Pango can also be a 4. I just think tiny plus Darkseer is stronger, and tiny can rotate mid onto the DK. And if Pango has levels, it will be a kill.
Alina's reasonable here. You want something that controls the
Ooh.
morphling. I don't dislike Necro.
That's better.
Yeah, there we go. Death
Because
Prophet,
they've got to
sort of vibe.
save. Like the lean is not a bad idea, but if you compare these two, like DP is more survivable, right? And you get more value out of false promising. Like if you have to false promise a Lina as J4 in this game, you just kind of look at your ultimate and go, "What have I done?" Because there's a lot of catch on mudgolems. They've got the Pangolier, they've got this morphling, they've got this tiny. Like Death Prophet will build a Yules, use it defensively, and heal up while using it defensively.
Yeah, and it gives them the push, a lot of push in the mid
Yes.
to late game.
Which they already have a lot of, right? Like this is probably the pushiest draft we're gonna see today.
It's, yeah, very pushy.
Like, and they also have D push early on because Mirana is like the infamous amazing thing about Mirana that still makes her a good pos for, in my opinion. Like you can say what you want about later on in the game, her, if she doesn't hit an arrow, she does nothing. But like early mid game, if someone's trying to make a push off the back of a catapult, by catapult, just instantly kills it. There's no way to stop that unless you got like a creep army. Which they do with the Enchantress, but Fada's not going to be able to maybe match the movements of Gilga equally.
Yeah, well, they don't have great anti-push mudgolems. They've got Tiny, which is a risky anti-push. And they've got Morphling, which is risky anti-push. I guess they can push the lanes of the Darkseer a little, but and the Pango. So they've got a little bit, but it's going to be hard for them to stop this sort of kind of death ball that will come out with the Morphling.
Yeah, this is the type of game that will be decided by the carries, but it's like it's not a sit and chill. Like the way it's going to be decided by the carries is going to be more on these mids because it is going to be Branya on that Pangolier. So I think like these two are going to be absolute pace movers. I think both offlane combos have almost equal kill potential, which shows how much I value a tiny pick, right? Because I'm saying a stun into an arrow stun is equally as strong as tiny with a Darkseer. Tiny's OP, folks. Pick it. All the time.
Tiny is mad good this game as well.
Like
They can do a
honestly,
lot of damage.
there's a few heroes that people always reference for like MMR boosting. So like a big one at the moment is if you want to choose your games, pick Arc Warden, right? Learn Arc Warden well, which is especially true in pub games because they go on longer than they should. I still believe in Void Spirit. Like if you pick it in the mid, it's ridiculous, and if it gets countered, just fall back to a support role or something. Tiny is definitely like one of the kings right now, though. Tiny is what Doom was half a year ago. Like you pick it in the pos 4 and you just do everything.
Well, he may just make so much space. He's going to make so much space for this Morphling. I quite like my Golem's draft here, but I don't know. It depends how effectively. If Khan can win the lanes, I think they can really start smashing down towers and controlling the map here.
So I think Mudgolem's draft is scary as all hell. Like now that I've sat and thought about it for a moment. Like you have initiation, you have follow-up initiation, right? You have counter initiation from the Darkseer. More importantly about that Darkseer is we already mentioned that morph into TB and metamorph, which is like morph into morph.
Yeah,
Nice.
that is really good.
It's not just that. It's you've got a Darkseer to surge you in. So you don't worry about this disengage that Khan has because you can chase really easily. So for me, I think you're right in that Khan maybe has some pop-off and lane potential, especially like the Dragon Knight plus Mirana. Maybe DP gets a good start. But I think more than that, they have to have a good start.
Yeah, they really got to. I think Khan have to dominate these lanes.
Because I think you get into the mid game and you're like equal or slightly behind Mudgolems, they're gonna like take you across that map and just drag you through the mud.
I think if the Tiny can through the Mudgolems, if the Tiny can pop off, then I think he's going to control a lot of this match because the Terrorblade's not going to be great against him up until level 11 or so, 20 minutes into the game. he's going to be able to burst him down too quickly. The same's true of the Death Prophet to a degree, especially comboing with something else like the Darkseer. I think they're going to just struggle. The Darkseer tiny combo is going to really control this game if Khan can't get a handle on it early on.
Have you noticed a recurring theme, though? Like, you just mentioned it, and I mentioned so much. If Tiny gets a good start, dictate game. It's almost always the case. Like, I think Tiny is one of those heroes that we always kind of bounce back and forth on OP or just good. It's hard to think of a time in the last few years where I look at Tiny and say it's a bad pick, right? It's always had its place, whether it's mid, whether it's off lane, whether it's 4. You know, we've gone through it all. We've gone through, before this, it was the ridiculous right-click Tiny, right? When they gave him infinite trees again.
Yeah,
And it's like, what do? Oh, you just build right-clicks. Like, sure, you might not catch people, but you don't need to because the buildings don't have any movement speed. They can't run away.
It's just tank. It's always going to work because it's just tanky burst. Like, he's got 2 things that you like in a Dota hero. He's got a hell of a lot of burst, so he can kill stuff, and he's pretty tanky, so he's hard to kill.
Yeah,
And he's pretty fast, so he can get places. Like, what else do you want? You want someone who can get places quickly, kill someone when they're there, and then not die. And then Tiny does all 3 of those things pretty effectively.
And the tankiness is key, right? Like, I remember I've had other people say this, and it's so true. So, like, Liz's classic one was always, you can either be good or build braces. And he always followed up with, he built a lot of braces. But the other one is, like, just pick, like, you can either be good or you can just pick bulky heroes. Because, because like, when you break down, and this is something like Love Jenkins for, like, you know, he loved talking about this, is HP as a resource. And inherently, heroes like Tiny have a lot more of this resource. And very good teams are very good at min-maxing their HP loss, right? So it's like, you know, it's kind of like when you're playing those fighting games, right? Someone taps the hero out on 10% HP and brings in the 100% to finish you off, sort of thing.
But Tiny can just do a lot with a little amount of HP. Like, if Tiny has a sliver of HP, because his burst is so quick, like, he can cast the spells at the same time, that even if he's just a tiny bit left alive, he can turn it around on you really quickly. So that's always going to be effective.
Yeah. And to reference someone from the last series is like for a different playstyle is like this hero is very flexible in the way it can be played because Lil, I'll always remember, like, he plays this very savior type Tiny, right? His plays are focused not around just initially getting a kill. He'll save a life alongside it, right? And Tiny is such a flexible 4 in the way you can play it because you can go with these cheesy tossbacks. You can also be almost like a Tusk with a blink dagger. I'm going to blink in and save the day, throw a hero out sort of thing.
You can do a lot of stuff. That's what's so great about flexible picking is that you're picking like 4 heroes at the same time. Like, if you pick something that's very rigid in a single role, then
it's obvious, right? Like a TB pick at the start, right?
Yeah, they know exactly what you're doing. You're picking this TB to go as a carry. I mean, you're not playing support TB, you're not playing mid TB. Whereas if you pick a Tiny, you're leaving so much room for your draft to grow.
Oh, man, I love that about Doe as well. Like, so much about Doe is this fluidity when it comes to what is good or bad. And I always love Johan for, like, his statement of, you know, anything can work, right? And it's something we have unique to this MOBA that I don't think any other MOBA can match. Like, if you think of other MOBAs, people could easily give you, like, a list of top 10 carries or top 10 supports. You can't do that in Doe because it's player-specific, game-specific. And, like, the item builds change so much as well because we have so many active items. Like, think Shaker, mid-Shaker, right? Like, any other game, like, hell, there's literally games out there that allow you to report people for just doing that outright because you aren't picking the meta hero. Doesn't work in Doe like that.
This mid lane is going quite badly for the Pango thus far.
He's getting roughed up. And also keep in mind, like, something we didn't actually hit on, it's kind of the dead obvious, right? It's when you see Darkseer, you pick an Oracle. Doesn't make 33
it's the worst. I play Darkseer a lot, and it is close to unplayable.
It's like the ultimate counter, right? Ever since they made that change, and I just imagine Darkseer players crying because they're like, Oracle wasn't a bad hero before this. Why? But, like, this is the power they can have as well. Like, look at this chase him. One more tap will do it. They haven't got vacuum though. The cooldown on this spell is so obnoxiously long.
It is very long. You can use it pretty much once per laning phase.
Yeah, and they tried to improve it, right? Like, they reduced the cooldowns. They tried to improve it. Don't forget that, like, hover over it and look at the most amazing cooldown reduction buff they gave in 7.27B. You see that?
I like
They
that
got
put
rid
that
of
in the
a
game.
0.0. I can only imagine it was to do with like there was some buggy interactions with things like time dilation. That's the only reason I can think that they would have done it.
It's just a joke. It's not a real thing.
Oh, there we go.
Ah, there we go.
See
And
that
he
the
uses
fight
it
went
to a
on
plum.
for. Oh no.
Oh dear. He
Did
was
you already feel
controlling
crap?
that as well.
Yeah, you already
He
feel
was-
crap about it, and then that.
That wasn't even an accident. Like the courier would have headed back home if he'd not been controlling it. He moved it there and it got killed.
He's like, well, I mean, I'll be back soon. I'll just leave it here. Wait, what do you mean? They're just gonna do that to me. And this is just a sad attempt by J4. Like, Milan's doing a really good job of min-maxing everything he has. And with the Tranquils, he's going to beat out the Oracle easily in this lane. Like, that's the stupidity of a Tiny, right? Can you name me another hero that would turn what is really a Darkseer lost lane into, okay, let's just win this?
Yeah, no one. But the Death
The upper
Prophet
lane.
is having a good time in mid.
But Pango's
And-
catching up.
Although the Morphling is absolutely slaying his lane compared to Terrorblade.
Yeah, and the difference, right, is that the Cheshire Cat is getting everything he wants out of this, but that's just a DK. It's always going to work
Yeah,
that
I mean,
way.
a DK always gets what he wants.
He's a dragon, after all,
Sometimes-
guys. Come on.
He doesn't get what he needs.
Would you want to tell a dragon that he can't have what he wants? There's a reason they have caves full of gold. I do think this mid lane is a little bit concerning as time goes on, because like we're seeing a lead for Mio, right? But you expect that. Pango's stats early on are absolutely abysmal. And
Yeah,
now
it's an early.
they can't quite get it. All right.
But I think they. I don't know. It depends when the Pango starts rotating, because he can probably take the mid tower if the Pango wants to rotate. If he needs to rotate, then the Death Prophet has a lot more of a game available.
Yeah, but the rotation should be definitive, right? So the rotations you're looking here is Baranya to top with an Iron Shell, or Milan to mid lane with an Iron Shell. And that's the key factor. You play away from the Oracle with the Iron Shells and you find picks. Or you just play on top of the Oracle and kill him because you're a Tiny. So Jin, cancel that south. Okay, you live, fight another day, but you're not going to be fighting. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Farda's fight ends badly as Gilga still has a DD.
Not ideal for Farta.
And that DD has like other ramifications because Pango didn't get his bottle refilled. Neo, you know, he hasn't got a bottle refill either, but like in an even Steven situation, you have to be a little bit careful on Baranya. Because if you swashbuckle wrong, you'll lose half your HP straight away.
That feels bad. Farta moving in, just getting immediately arrowed.
You know what's
Welcome to
happening,
the
right?
lane.
You know that probably, like, I'd like to imagine, it's not because Farda's too good of a player, right? But it's like, you ever have that moment where you get hooked, you go, oh, there's a Pudge in this game. It's like that. It's just you TP and you're like, oh, I knew I shouldn't. Mid
I
lane,
knew I
by
should
the
have
way,
been more careful.
they did use the Exorcism, which forced out the Rolling Thunder. Which, you know, if you know how magical and physical damage works, it doesn't protect the Pangolier very well.
It gets him away though, which is the main thing.
Yeah, there's decent chip damage. The problem is Mio doesn't bring the tower to a definitive point where they can do something with it. So now, for a big window of opportunity, like Pango can make a fight happen because he's gonna have his ultimate again in 35 seconds.
Yeah. Which is a shame.
Oh man, it's been too long since my energy drinks. This monster's so good. That's not even a chill out actually. I just had like it tastes so good right now. You know what tastes good? DP, killing DPs.
I
Rania.
think she's going to be fine here.
Yep. He hasn't got the wrong thunder for 10 more seconds, so he's got a big one. He's trying to bait this out to the maximum. Swashbuckle toss, but they do lose him still. Gilga's able to get the kill with the arrow through, I believe that was. Now they'll chase for more. Milan's also gone.
That was a bad. They shouldn't have not gone on that. DP is always deceptive, though, isn't it? It's. I mean, obviously these are professional players; they should know better. But you go on her and you're like, oh, she's pretty low, and she just heals up.
It's true. It's like the
see it
classic,
happen
if
so
we bring
often.
more heroes, right? Like if we bring more heroes, we can kill a person. Is it that hero likes more heroes? It's like saying
Exactly.
if we stack and farm this wave quicker, the Shaker won't get a chance to echo slam us.
Pretty much the case.
I think it's a good fight if they have Realm Thunder. Maybe it's like a miscommunication and like Baranya thought the fight would last longer. But once again, you're a hero that doesn't like start with good stats. Like, Pangolier is a really rough hero when the lane starts. Thunder.
He is.
This is actually a good pick. Just before he'd have Exorcism again. Although that double roll, oh no.
That's awful.
And then they pushed him to the low ground actually, so maybe they can get him. Problem is they actually, they needed to have Millen back in, but these cooldowns are too long. Honest to God, like Dota just hates players sometimes.
The double little roll, that's a little bit of crag that doesn't exist. It's kind of a tiny little corner in a corner. A little iota, an iota of bounce.
So that's, I reckon if we had this broke down, what you're going to see is that's someone who added in an extra polygon and couldn't be asked to remove it.
You'd expect this to just be like a straight line, wouldn't you?
Sort of. So it would be, here, I'll show you. It would be like, so it'd be this, and then like another line there, and another one there, then another one there, and then another one there. And then you have like a square to come into the, I don't know if people see that because it's pretty small. But basically, you'd have here. I'll now represent it to you guys. It'd be like line there, line there, line. Wait, why is mine not working? Mine's still not working.
Because you're bad at lines, KillerPigeon.
Okay. Now, no. You know what it was? It's because I'm drawing under the. See that now? I'm drawing under it. So yeah, it'll go like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, and it probably does. I think it's to do with Pangalier's Roll and Thunder. Is like people. I think that's what someone did like an in-depth analysis of this. It's very odd because I think his Roll and Thunder is like, it's not just a box around him. It's like, well, I'm just drawing somewhere you can't even see now. I'm discovering that you can't draw through flowers now in this game. Like, check this out. You can't draw through flowers.
If anyone's tuning in now, we're just having fun drawing. It's very much turned to like
Art Attack.
Can you see what it is? Yep.
Yeah.
But that's
Can I
the
just
most
point out
Dota thing in the world. That though they have this kind of like cliff that's like all knobbly. Like in any other game, this would just be a straight line.
I thought you were going to talk about the fact that we love drawing penises. I was like, that is the most. I agree. That's the most Dota thing imaginable. We do love drawing penises.
Everyone likes drawing penises. It's not related to. I know many people who aren't Dota players who love drawing penises.
Sure, but they'd love it more if they were Dota players.
They would love it more. They'd have more opportunities to do it in front of an audience if they were Dota players.
We do love our
Most
penises.
of them do it in private.
Arrow. Vada gets out. 33 is left behind. He knows he's going down. They did force the Exorcism, and it ends up being a waste, though, because there was a haste on the Pangolier. My only concern is, like, you're not able to really shove these lanes because you just saw what they done with Cheshire Cat mid, right? They have these interchangeable push parts to the lineup. Like, it's the transformation draft, right? Because I mean, I don't know if I call DPs a transformation, but kind of is the same. Like, you've got Metamorphosis, you've got Elder Dragon form, and then you've got Exorcism.
It's very big cooldowns.
Yeah, but like you don't have to use them all, right? Use one, you push tower. Use one, you take Roche. Use one, you fight. Maybe two if it's a really hard fight.
You're kind of forgetting that there's like another team that can prevent them from doing things.
Morphlings,
like,
how often do they win the game?
We've been going on about how good the Tiny is for a little while. If they're not, I think they really have to go all in to do enough damage to kill these mudgolems.
Hey, talk about that Tiny. Look, he can't do anything. He's stunned. Nice. Oh god, 3 silences. Arrow. Oh no, Baranya. And they can't dive though, so they do reveal they've got everyone standing behind the Pangolier, which means that TB is off farming, very content. At least Skitter's doing the same thing on the other side of the map though.
Skitter's having a wonderful time. He's going straight for an E-Blade as well, which I guess works.
But it is against an Oracle.
It's against an Oracle.
So it's even more imperative that you snipe the Oracle at the start of the fight.
Yeah, which is what I imagine they'll do. They'll snipe the Oracle and then with Tiny and Morph, and then they can kind of win the fights from there with Rolling Thunder.
I'm not sure what the exact stats are, by the way, on Darkseer plus Tiny, but it is pretty high. Like, this combo is
it's a really good combo.
Yeah, it was more ridiculous before they nerfed Surge, but it's still really good. Like, you saw it in the mid lane, right? It's a cheap man's Blink Dagger. That's how I always like to think about it. I'm the type of guy that calls phase boots a poor man's mini Blink. You know, it's the mobility adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, in that way of thinking, everything is a mini Blink. If it makes like Yasha is a poor man's Blink. In your mind.
Like the difference is like one manipulates your speed to do something, right? So like you like a drums is a mini team Blink. Okay, now I'm going too far. Oh, that arrow blocked by Baranya. Hello, Mr. President. Live to fight another day, 33. He won't be so lucky, though, because the Arrival Mio does get the kill. Millen tosses one away. Swashbuckle through and Baranya. With the haste, we'll be able to run this one off. However, Mio is about equally fast. He's like, come back here. It's like he just can't escape the ghost from his past. But he does. He gets away.
They're
They are
doing
able
what
to
I
get the
thought
tower,
they
though.
might. They're turning a good laning phase into pushing.
Everything about their draft says push, right? Everything. And I believe you hit this out of the park in the like analysis of the draft, is that Mudgolem doesn't have easy D-push. Like,
They've really got to commit to D-push.
you haven't got like a hero that sits far back, like a Rubik, for example. Like, imagine a Rubik in this game, even instead of like an Ench who picks up like gets the Crypt Swarm and has Fade Bolt. You're like, I am safe. I'm just gonna shove these out and nobody can ever find me.
What are they building? Yes, he's going straight through a Manta. Blink. He's got a proper blink on DK. Not one of your... He's got 2 blinks in the way, in your opinion, because he's got phase boots and
There
the
you go.
blink dagger.
There you go. All right, so here's where I'll explain the justification of my poor man's like face boost blink. I always use it as a justification for Shaker, because like that hero really struggles to get in, right? Problem is like Tranks are too good now, so Tranks are actually the poor Shaker of blink.
Yeah, but Tranks make you slightly faster as well, so
Yes.
it's a, that's a blinker as well.
Yeah. I mean, like
Everything's a
the
blink.
active catch out, right? Like phase boosts used to be so good. They're still decent on melee heroes that really want the clicks, but obviously Shaker, unless you're playing at mid, isn't really about the clicks, and also needs treads more than phase boots if he's mid. Oh, the problems of being a person who's only allowed to build 1 set of boots unless I want to be judged. I've had those games recently. The worst ones are when you accidentally build Tranks, which happens
Rarely
often.
happens.
It happens
Does it
often.
happen to you all the time? I don't think I've ever done that.
In the post 4 role, like Windlace is really good value on a lot of heroes, right? But it's also like a ring of regen is nice because I might turn it into headdress. But if I don't immediately turn it into headdress, then I'm inevitably going to forget to lock it, and I'm all of a sudden going to have Tranks.
Yes.
But it gets you in good habits, right? It's like, you know, when you keep doing something stupid, and eventually you learn.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's better to learn one day than not at all.
Yeah, learn from your mistakes. I mean, I could, you know what I could do? I could build those Tranks and blame it on, like, my Terrorblade or something. But I don't.
You don't. You're an honest man.
Also, it would be really stupid and hard to justify. Stun onto the Tiny. The wall is down, though. The Wrong Fun is connected onto them well. But Mio is just going to stand in the middle and heal up. They're trying to snipe out the Oracle now. Going to bring him low with the illusions coming out into the effect from Darkseer, but not enough damage to kill off the Oracle. It's going to salve up. Tiny's going to be brought down. Mio is extremely low, though. And I don't think he's able to siphon off enough here. He's able to run away in the meantime. 33 does have the Surge, able to move away. They force the buyback out of the Tiny. Now, Khan, this is looking awkward. They just need to get out. They've overstayed their welcome, and they know they're probably going to lose one. Is it going to be Mio, though? He's still alive. They're actually just trying to bring down this DP, but failing really badly. In the meantime, Millen's going to be brought down. That's his buyback into the dieback. And Mio, look at that. Full HP again. All this effort is for now as Sparta eats the arrow and then eats the dust.
Oh, well.
Oh,
This is what they're doing. They're just... I know, it's difficult. There's so much... For that Tiny to get involved in a fight, he has to go through ghosts. He has to go through breathe fire. There's just so much burst and control. It's really tough for them.
look at his progress, by the way. That buyback is putting back where he was a few minutes ago in terms of blink progress. And this is
He's
so
not got a blink at
critical.
all.
Like, you saw Pango, right? Like, Pango needs to be controlling the DP, DK, or the TB, right? And then Tiny should be finding and killing the Oracle straight away. Instead, the Oracle stands there, Fate's Edict. Suddenly, Tiny's trying to burst down a DP where he does no damage because of Fate's Edict. And then the Oracle still escapes because Pango is the only one who can reach. It's getting worrisome because, yes, Skidder has this E-Blade, but like, I'm kind of shrugging and going, what for at this rate? Like, you still aren't confident until you got a Manta because of the silence on the DP.
Yeah, that's going to be tricky. A lot of available control.
Definitely a spooky game. Not many kills, by the way. I just looked up the kills. I felt like that was our first real fight. 2 to 8 at almost 20 minutes into the game. We're 18 minutes in. Not even a kill a minute, guys. Like, I know there's going to be people right now, Resident Sleeper in the chat.
It's sleepy times for all. But I think they're going to push one more tower, try and win one more fight with the next lines of ultimate, and then they're going to take Roche. Or they're just going to take Roche with their ultimates. and then from there they can keep on pushing.
We did mention
And
this,
mud golems
right?
are just going to keep on dodging them with the morph for a little while until this morph can get up the manta, which is still a while away. So see what happens first.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of hoping mud golems next game will pick Bat Rider, because I'm looking forward to the moment I get to just say that, you know, mud golems are now dragging people into mud golems.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
I have low
Are you
expectations.
desperate
low
to say that?
desires.
I don't A, understand what that means, and B, understand why you want to say it so much. But
Because
all power to you,
because the
KillerPigeon.
mud golems will lasso you and drag someone into the mud golems.
Why would they drag someone into the mud golems though?
Because then I get to say mud golems, mud golems, mud golems.
All right, I see. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
better,
you can
better
do that.
one,
You
better
can do
one.
that if you want. Do that in your spare time, perhaps.
What if they pick Ench and Do, and they just full mud golem? Chen as well.
They do have an inch.
Yeah. So I
there's
want them
mud
to step
golems.
it up. They need a Chen as well. No one's ever going to pick Chen plus Ench in the same team. Not right now. But
Has that ever happened in your memory?
I think
Chen
that
Ench
may have
draft?
a few months back. Maybe. Actually, it probably happened a lot back when Ench was a good core pick. Oh my god. It isn't even that long ago that Ench was a good boss free, but it feels like it, right?
I mean, it was like for a month that Ench was a good boss free.
No, like before they changed Impetus and Untouchable around.
Yeah, rarely.
for a
It was a
while.
niche. It was a niche old pick.
Aye.
It does a lot of damage, but it's just so situational, that damage.
It's kind of like a Timber Sword. It's like that's how it played. It's this whole idea of like your job is to distract and absorb as much attention as possible.
But you're less tanky than a timber saw, so that's less
True,
effective.
but you're harder to kill depending on the heroes. So it's like imagine the same light as. It fit the meta because it was like you remember the times like for a year I think it was where it was like the offlane mentality was if I have less than 10 deaths at 20 minutes I've done my part, and that was it. Like it was just absorb and get thrown under the bus. Like every team was throwing their offlane under the bus, and that's where Ench kind of thrived because she could.
Yeah. She was good at that. She controls the slave lane very well. To be fair to her.
And I believe back
Although
then you
they-
could also enchant catapults, which was insane.
But regardless, they're going for Roche. But
They're trying.
seems
but
like a weak one.
yeah, the arrow maybe spooked them a bit. It stopped just short of poking them in the buttocks. And now they'll reset, go in on the tiny arrow through, already down to half HP, and that's your initiation, guys. So I think this is
didn't
where
even
Khan
have
go
to-
for Roche. Branya, jump in, wall, in a choke point. This looks good, actually. A lot of damage coming out. E-Blade, bring them down. Vacuum to get rid of them. 2 dead. They bite back, they bite back hard, and now J4 should be the last one to bite the dust. This is a double kill for Baranya, and straight into the pit.
That was such a bad. They did not need to go up there. They didn't need to go up to high ground. That's such a perfect area for a Darkseer and a Pango to fight. There's one place in the map that could happen. It was literally there. They shouldn't have. They should have backed off and gone straight to Roche.
It used to get called the OG high ground, right? That was back in TIA days. The map was a bit different then. But the whole notion's the same. This will beat the team. This will always beat them. And it's weird that they play into that area when one thing that we didn't highlight on, because I feel like I talk about it every time, is the Pangolier in the game, is the power of fighting in choke points for the side of mud golems. It's ridiculous. Like, you just saw it with the wall, the vacuum. If Tiny was alive there as well, imagine an avalanche toss in that choke point.
Exactly, but that was intentional. That's what they were almost trying to do with the Tiny, though. He was trying to drag them back in there. It was very much an intentional play, I think. They were like, we're going to fight around here. We can control them there. We can control them with the wall. We control them with the vac. We can control them with the rolling thunder. But unfortunately, Tiny was just a little bit too far out. But it still worked for them.
I think the other cool part was like Oracle was playing too far back because he was trying to save for the initial jump in case that went wrong, right? So when they chased forward, the Oracle was like double the distance away from the fight that she should be, and therefore there's no false promise save or Fate's Edict. And once again, no Fate's Edict. BP brought low, almost dead already. He also dodged it out, but Skitter's hanging around, ready to fight. Turns to the DK, looking for the stun, but the false promise does come out. And now they'll just stun up, control up J4, trying to burst him down. Skitter is hit up the Spirit Vessel, Dragon Tail as well, bringing him low, but not enough. He's able to waveform away. He's going to live to fight another day. Doesn't even have to give over the Aegis. But that is, I mean, that's exorcism for nothing, basically. And it's going to run out soon. They're going to try and reinitiate on the Farda.
Still got time.
Ench is gone. It's like the side of Carney eating venison. It's not good enough. That is an exorcism for a POS 5. Mudgolems are smiling right now.
It's an exorcism and a metamorphosis for a position 5.
And a false promise. I mean, like, false promise, keep in mind that's still level 1, by the way. J4 is not level 12 yet. So, there's a window here where if you're Mudgolem, you could just try and smoke and make a play. You wish that you had a tiny with a blink dagger right now. In fact, I feel like this is going to be one of the latest blink timings I've seen in a professional game in quite a while.
25-minute blink isn't an ideal timing.
No.
He really does need it as well.
It's kind of weird, right? I think it's on Khan's ability to pressure the map early, but you notice what you see in most games where there's a tiny in the 4. It's like the mid rotates or goes jungle and then gives the lane to the tiny. But because of the way they pressured around the mid, there was never that transferal of farm that occurred.
No, unfortunate.
Just thinking back to the days where Pangolin used to silence people with Lucky Shot.
It's better now, it is.
Yes.
It's less multifunctional. Too multifunctional thing is...
what was it? It could do either and then sometimes both, right? It's like each proc could be either or. That was when mid Pangolier was at its top, like all the time.
You know, it's a little bit. It was a bit of a grab bag.
A little bit crazy. Stun, skid up. He didn't morph. Arrow through as well, but the roll through from Barani to break up the fight and ensure he's safe. Blink from Milan. He's finally got it online. The Avalanche tossing the vacuum through. They've already got rid of 2. The false promise to try and save Mio, but he's got a BKB and stand and fight. Not much choice but to do so. Skidder, while he is silenced up, he's still got that Aegis to play with, so he doesn't care. He turns around Cheshire Cat. They'll bring him down. Mio running away, but the BKB is running out, and Millen's moving forward with that haste. He'll see him. He can blink Avatos to him, interrupt this, and it looks like the DP is going to go down as well, as everyone but the TB is gone on the side of Khan, and they will lose their tier 1 tower.
Jesus. That's what was great there was the Darkseer Greaves. It made so much difference in that fight. He really, I think they would have completely, 3 or 4 of them would have gone down if it wasn't for the Darkseer Greaves, which really turned everything around for them.
Yeah, the unison movement as well, right? Like Baranya with that roll through at the clutch moment as well, because I think there was a Crypt Swarm being charged up, and DP was about to release. So everything just executed beautifully, and Mudgolems, I mean, this is what we want to see, some signs of life, right? Like, this is the difference in the last 2 fights, is that Morphling is actively involved in these engagements. He's realized that he can't sit back and just hit creeps forever anymore. Whereas when you look at Naive is actually still doing a lot of the time.
And I think the Morphling is not definitively beaten by the Terrorblade in the late game.
No,
I would
we already
argue
highlighted,
that,
right? The morph value is so huge in a lot of aspects, actually. I think Reflection is so much stronger now than it used to be.
He's got that. He's got so much stuff to take here. I think he's going to do very well. But I mean, I wouldn't entirely count Khan out at all here. I think they've still got a great chance. They just need to take a fight. It feels like they've lost a bit of momentum. I mean, they can still be ahead, and I think they probably are still slightly ahead in this game. But when you lose 2 fights like that, it does begin to feel, I think as a team, and players have told me this, that they begin to feel less comfortable in a game.
Yeah. Like, you had your stride, and then you tripped over, right? It's like, imagine you're building momentum as you run. You're running faster, and then you trip over. You're going to have to start from a slow pace again to build up.
And it's more present for these kind of tier 2, tier 1.5 teams.
Because you don't have that powerful voice in the team, right? That just forces you back on track. Like, you think Puppy, think Solo, these PPD, these captains that kind of infamous for like saying, this is my Dota, this is going to be our Dota, this is what we do now.
Someone like Puppy can see a situation like this and can still know that he's ahead and can still know where he stands in the game.
That toss in, Mio's deep, exorcism, he needs to try and escape. Sans comes out into Piranha in the meantime. They're just right-clicking him down. Millen might die, but is Mio in the meantime. False Promise does come out. They've already got rid of the Oracle for it, though, and the wall. There is so many illusions in this right now. Gilga trying to move away. He's not the smasher we know him for. The buyback comes out from the Tiny in the meantime, and Naive with his BKB just trying to escape will be able to do so. Cheshire Cat does hang around. The pings came out, but he's able to blink away. They forced the buyback out. It doesn't cost them too much. It was the exorcism. Cheshire Cat might be the final casualty because they do have the swashbuckle to keep on chasing. No procs, though. And the Invis will ensure that DK walks away in one piece as well.
Good confident play there. That's what they needed to do. They realized that they still have a huge amount of pushing power. They realized they still have something minor of a lead, and they take that advantage. And that's what I was talking about. And that's good. It's impressive play by them.
Yeah,
But,
it's a very
they're
confident.
not out of the woods yet.
Well, I was gonna say it's a very confident play by Millen, right? And I can see where he's coming from. I actually kind of commend the fact that he's staying this confident, because when you think about how his game began, it can be very easy to kind of lose that stride we were talking about as an individual performer in this team, because this hasn't been what we're used to from Tinies. This hasn't been kind of like a pop off in the first 20 minutes and then peter off. He's kind of trying to do the opposite here.
Exactly.
We'll see if
And
he
this
can.
Morphling is getting bigger and bigger. He's getting towards a Skadi now, which is exactly what he needs.
Yeah, especially against the DP. The reduced healing coming out from Spirit Siphon. Like, every fight, Mio is being saved by the amount of damage, like the amount of health, rather, he's taking away from his opponents. With Skadi, they just remove that factor. Millen, chase in. Initiation on his skitter, but he manages and moves away. The Stance and the Piranha, they will root him up, but they can't reach him to go up for the stun. They'll try now with the Yules. Swashbuckle to get away is in time, though. He's got the wrong Thunder. The Dragon Tail is not quick enough. That should be the end of the fight. It looks like they might try and disengage inside of Mudgolems. They're just seeing what they can force out of DP in the meantime.
Right, Pango's got an axe.
Yeah, he's kind of reached that point. He's going BKB next. Sometimes we see people go for like Basher or Diffusal to get that value, but understanding that it's just important he gets his ult off in these games.
Yeah, he's dealing with the DP silence, and that's important to be able to deal with. You need to be able to cast your spells, I think. It's my analysis.
I think like the classic statement I've ever heard is like one of the best ones of Dota is getting 5k MMR is just pressing buttons.
Yeah.
Sounds very
technically
demeaning,
getting
but it's like using
any
your
level of
spells.
MMR.
Yes,
It's
that
all,
is true.
it's
To,
all
like,
buttons.
To like send it further, but like I think one of the most classic ones is for those low ranking players is that I've heard is people don't use their spells, right? And to relate this back to this game, Baranya will be able to do exactly that with the BKB, because I was kind of getting lost in the podcast moment again. It's like, yeah, just use your spells, guys. Just press buttons and you'll be a better player. Press them, don't click them. If you don't have keybinds and you're clicking your buttons, that's probably step one. I knew someone who'd done that, and it's horrifying.
That is the worst.
Like, how do you play the game and not lose doing that?
Was he low MMR?
There you go. Thank you. That was where we go.
That's exactly.
Everyone at that rank must have been using them. That's how I gained MMR, guys. I switched from using one hand to using two.
You could get one of those mice with huge numbers of buttons and have all of your keys.
The MMO mice, yes.
Exactly.
I'm a sweat lord FPSer, so I have one of those FPS mice. Minimalistic.
Beautiful.
And I tell you what's a ripoff is the precision aim buttons.
What did they do? Do
They change your DPI
sensitivity?
when you hold, yeah. And it's like, well, that's bad for muscle memory. Why would you ever do that?
I've never used those.
They're a ripoff. You could alternately just have like a different setting for when you're aimed in. And we're going to see Mudgolem aim and try and pull the trigger on Khan here. Cheshire Cat breaking the smoke on the high ground, though. The vacuum down on low ground. Dragon Tail comes out. He worked the BKB. Darks here. Tossed away from the arrow to save the day, but he still gets caught. 33 in a bit of trouble. Wrong Thunder through to control the fight. The Exorcism has been committed. They're straight away on to 33. Surge will not get him out and away. The BKBs and the almost all used on the side of Khan. They know they have to take Roshi, and that's exactly what they'll do.
That DD is so much damage.
I mean, it's so much damage even without the DD, but yes, the DD with the crits as well. No way of stopping that. Fardock does get stunned.
He's got 600 damage at the moment. How can you deal with that?
Have you heard of Meta TB? I hear it's a strong hero. He's very good at clicking. I've never seen this hero before.
How quickly is he going to take down this tower?
Okay, that's all I got for you. He's so confident he leaves the illusions to do it for him. He's still looking for people to kill.
I'm going to do this very quickly.
Fine. He'll come and he'll fix it. For the last moments of the metamorphosis. Problem is, it's a tier 1 task, so that is going to reset on the tier 2. And the other big problem is, if you do try and push this, you're now going to be doing it without your metamorphosis, without your exorcism, and without your Elder Dragon form. And maybe without your Oracle, because Baranya is considering this one. He's like, I see potential here. Someone is going to die. Oh,
got stuck in that little bit again. Oh, no.
He gets stuck twice. Oh, the Dragon Tail straight away. Milan, he blocks the arrow to save the day, but Baranya Rudok can't move away quick enough. He's going to lose the Tiny. They're going to be forced to fight here, which means that Baranya's going to go down as well. And they're not done. They're going to find the Enchantress as well. Arrow isn't going to be on the mark, but they don't need it anyway. Fada knows that he is turned from deer into toad.
That is... Did he not watch our presentation on where the cliff is?
Did he not watch himself while playing himself earlier? Because that's where we got the presentation footage from.
Oh dear, and this is bad because stuff is coming back up. Not.
It's not even a quick kill. It's like, that's the worst part about it. It's like you go for that kill and you know it's not quick because what do you have as a Pangolier? You've built these Ags and you've got Maelstrom. It's not like you got a Basher in there as well, right? It's not going to be one roll, then another one, and Oracle dead. 33 is, however, very dead.
Oh, no, he's...
Oh, no, don't deceive yourself here. This man will not be saved.
And now Meta's up.
And so is Exorcism. I wouldn't be surprised if they try and end this.
I think they can end it.
There it is. They identify it correctly. They move in and Khan. I mentioned at the start of this game, the TBs win a lot of games, and it's looking like this one might at this rate. They hesitate, though. They go, this isn't quick enough. The Morphling could burst one of us if we're not careful. I only have a Daedalus, a Skadi, a BKB, a Manta, a Dragon Lance, and an Aegis on this TB.
They're going to take these tier 2s, just tier 2, and maybe the other one of them go.
Yeah, they'll get one of the tier 4s. Branya's already used the Roll Thunder, and look at yourself. You're just going in and praying that you disarm him, because if you don't, the TV's going to kill you. Cheshire Cat jumps in with the Dragon Tailor on top of the arrow follow, does get the kill. And I believe this is where you start contemplating the next game. Because there is no stopping Naive right now. He'll back off for the moment. Mirana is dead, but so is Milan. You should go for a holiday in Milan right now, because this is a painful experience that you need to refresh from. So they'll go away, but you're 20k down now, and we are very much in Terrorblade territory, and everyone here on the Radiant side is staying illegally.
It's, yeah, they've got control of this game now. This is what, it's 35 minutes in. They did their timing push that I thought they might, and they are going to keep on pushing it home.
And if they see that DD, they'll just go straight for the Juggler. Because Naive will have the Metamorphosis in just a minute. He has queued up the Ags. Pretty goddamn effective in this game. Well, yeah, but like if you instantly catch, like look at all the heroes on Mudgolem, right? If they get caught in a fear, they die very quickly. They're very reliant on each other saving one another, right? Like the Surge to get one out, the heals from the Dark Seer, the Tiny to buy time with the Avalanche Toss. It's just a giant AoE stun.
It's, yeah, I mean, it's effectively. It's like the whole of Mudgolem stuff is just about kind of going in, and I think if they have something to disrupt that, then they are going to struggle. Put it simply.
Maybe.
If you can stop their initiation, then they've really got nothing, because they're all about the initiation.
Maybe their real power comes from if Mudgolems all build Helm of Dominators, and then they get Mudgolems, and then they have a 10-man team, because they're going to be one man down right now. Skidder found straight away. BKB gets activated to stay on top of him, and he's gone. Morphling dead for 100 seconds, and the Pangolier is doing nothing. The Tiny's trying to run away. 33 is looking for relevance, but he's not going to find it. The only thing he's going to find is another death, as they'll run him down and kill him off. J4 will be killed by the TV illusion that hits pretty goddamn hard right now, but they're ignoring it. They're dealing with the other heroes. Buybacks are coming out. Oracle ensuring that if he's needed, he'll be able to be there, but they're going for the throne. They're already in.
TB sliced down the Morphling, not even in Metamorphosis. He just cut him up with his swords.
He saved that. He's like, whoa, I don't want to give 33 a ranged illusion of me. I'll give him the melee illusion. He can kill my support. This is done. When your Tiny does that, just to be able to use a buyback, you know you're done. Unless... No. GG. They're like, we could hit the throne, or we could force them to type those two letters.
Yeah, that's not great. Oh well, it's their first game as a stack. I mean, not the best performance in their first game, but a first game's a first game. So they got that out of the way, and now they can turn it around and start performing better. That wasn't a bad performance though. They picked off some good fights. It's just it was a good draft from Khan. They were capable of controlling the game effectively.
One sec, I'm just gonna whip that back to the main view.